Something enormous is about to happen in the global economy. Over the next 20 years, an estimated $84 trillion will change hands. Economists call it the largest wealth transfer in history. Trillions of dollars in homes, retirement accounts, businesses, and investments will move from one generation to the next. On paper, it sounds like a massive financial opportunity, but there is a problem hiding inside this historic moment. Most people who expect to benefit from this wealth transfer may never see it. Right now, baby boomers control an enormous portion of global wealth. In the United States alone, this generation holds trillions of dollars in assets, homes purchased decades ago that have multiplied in value, retirement portfolios that grew alongside financial markets, businesses built over entire careers. But baby boomers are aging, and as they do, economists expect those assets to begin transferring to younger generations. At first glance, this sounds like good news. After all, if trillions of dollars move to younger families, shouldn't that create a wave of financial stability? Shouldn't younger generations suddenly find themselves inheriting homes, investments, and financial security? But the reality is far more complicated. The first hidden signal is wealth concentration. A large portion of the wealth expected to transfer is concentrated in a relatively small number of households. Some families will inherit substantial assets, others will inherit very little, and many households will receive nothing at all. This creates a major economic divide, because wealth transfers do not spread evenly across society. They follow the same patterns wealth has always followed, through family structures, property ownership, and long-term financial accumulation. Housing plays a massive role in this story. For many families, the largest asset they own is their home. Many baby boomers purchased homes decades ago when prices were dramatically lower. Over time, those homes appreciated in value. In some areas, properties that once cost a modest amount are now worth hundreds of thousands, sometimes even millions of dollars. When these homes eventually transfer to heirs, they represent significant financial assets. But this also creates another economic signal. Housing wealth may increasingly remain inside families that already own property. Meanwhile, younger generations trying to buy their first homes face dramatically different conditions. Housing prices are far higher relative to income than they were for previous generations. Mortgage rates fluctuate, supply remains limited in many areas, and first-time buyers often struggle to compete in expensive markets. This means inheritance could play an increasingly powerful role in determining who becomes a homeowner in the future. Others may continue navigating increasingly expensive housing markets without that advantage. But housing is only part of the story. Another major factor shaping the wealth transfer is longevity. People today are living longer than previous generations. While this is a positive development in many ways, it also means wealth is often spent over longer retirement periods. Healthcare costs are a major factor here. Long-term care, assisted living, and medical expenses can consume large portions of retirement savings. In some cases, these costs significantly reduce the wealth that ultimately reaches the next generation. In other words, the wealth transfer may be smaller than many people expect. There is another hidden player in this story as well: institutions. Large investment firms and financial institutions increasingly influence asset ownership across the economy. In some housing markets, institutional investors have purchased significant numbers of homes. Private equity firms manage large pools of capital that influence real estate, businesses, and financial markets. This raises an important question. As wealth transfers across generations, how much of it will remain in families, and how much will flow into institutional ownership? If institutions continue acquiring assets, the structure of wealth ownership may shift dramatically, and that leads to an uncomfortable realization. The largest wealth transfer in history may not distribute wealth evenly across society. Instead, it may reinforce many of the patterns that already exist. But this does not mean the story is entirely negative, because economic transitions always create new opportunities. Every generation builds wealth in different ways. Previous generations built wealth through property ownership, stable careers, and long-term investments. Younger generations may build wealth through different pathways. Technology, entrepreneurship, and new industries are reshaping the way wealth is created. Digital businesses, global markets, and new financial tools are opening opportunities that did not exist decades ago. Understanding these shifts is important because economic signals rarely arrive with clear warnings. They appear gradually in demographics, in housing markets, in corporate behavior, in the changing structure of opportunity. The $84 trillion wealth transfer is one of the clearest signals of a major economic transition. But the real question is not just how much wealth will move. The real question is who will adapt to the new economic landscape being created around it. Because history shows that every major economic transition creates both winners and losers. The people who recognize the signals early are often the ones best positioned to navigate the change. Right now, one of the largest financial transitions in modern history is already underway, and most people have no idea how dramatically it may reshape the future. If you found this analysis interesting, subscribe to Hidden Economic Signals. This channel explores the deeper patterns shaping the global economy, from generational wealth shifts to the hidden signals influencing markets, jobs, and financial opportunity. Because sometimes the most important economic changes are not the ones headlines, they are the ones quietly reshaping the world around us.